Hello, welcome to Soulprint. Thank you very, very much for being here. All right, so we've seen the debate, we've processed the debate, and kind of was a very successful debate for Kamala and kind of not so much for Trump. Um, where he had nothing to say except things about cats and dogs and kind of concept plans and Orban. She came across, she talked about her points, she talked about what she's going to be able to do for people, how she was going to do it, etc. So definitely in terms of quality of information, I mean, she far surpassed him. Um, I have to tell you, I was a little irritated by sort of how much they just let Trump talk. And I don't know if I have the numbers exactly right, but it was something like she spoke for 23 minutes and he spoke for like 39 or something, right? That irritated me. But I have to tell you, I'm not sure because it proved the point that he had nothing to say. I think it may very well have just been a visceral reaction to actually having to listen to his voice because I actually did that. It was painful. Okay, it was a painful experience. Um, but there you have it, right? I think that she performed, I think, better than expected, and he performed kind of exactly as expected. Um, so she was very clever, right? I loved the way she made a point and then dangled something that he just had to chase, right? No, no, my crowd size is bigger. No, my father didn't give me 400 million. No, no, right? Um, her facial expressions were absolutely brilliant. Um, and I mean, I think part of what was even more brilliant was the fact that she beat Trump at the whole television angle, right? I mean, she had the right reactions and the right facial expressions. Um, and he considers himself, this amazing television personality. So there were a lot of really, really positive things. So let's take a peek and just see, where this takes us, right? I mean, is she going to get a significant bump for this? Or from this, is Trump going to lose some of his soft support because he sort of sounds like a bumbling idiot? Um, I have to say, I'm confused by people who came away from that and said things like, "I don't have enough information. I haven't made a decision yet. I'm undecided." Because it's like in their head, they are equating the two people or the two situations as equal, and they're not. First of all, you have somebody who's out to destroy the country and somebody who's trying to save democracy. But you have somebody who has plans and somebody who has nothing, just nothing. And you have to wonder at some point for some of those people who were still like, yeah, no, I still can't quite figure it out. Um, what kind of biases there may be going on? Is it because she's a woman? Is it because she's a woman of color? Is it because, despite the fact that the economy under Trump tanked and under Biden Harris has showed amazing growth and progress, particularly coming out of COVID. Um, do they still think that he's better at the economy simply because he's a guy, and somehow that's perceived as him being better able to deal with these things, even though he declared bankruptcy 6 times. So some sort of interesting energies, I want to say, coming out of that. So let's just take a peek and see what's going on. Let's look at Harris first. Yeah. So okay. So they are very, very pleased. Tim Waltz's grouping. Very, very pleased. But the interesting thing about their energy is, as I'm sort of moving around in it, is, and I'm not in her energy, I'm sort of in the campaign energy and sort of including her, but broader. The thing that's most interesting to me is that they're not gloating, right? They're like, okay, that was a really, really great night and we did good. Let's get to work. Let's keep working. Let's stay focused. So, you know, they're not losing sight of the fact that they're in this for the American people. And in order to accomplish what they want, they need an amazing turnout. And so that's interesting, right? Because last night was such a success. And honestly, I have to say, I think going into the debate, there was a lot of people, honestly, who were suffering sort of like trauma stress um, because of sort of the unfortunate way the Biden Trump um, debate not only turned out, but honestly was perceived with such negativity. And I think that there was some sort of residue, panic or concern kind of going into it. Well, she allayed all of those fears. And again, her campaign is incredibly focused in going forward. And they are, what I'm hearing is they are likely to try to push for another debate. Now, apparently, Trump's, kind of thinking he'll do another debate, but only at Fox. So I'm not sure what that's going to look like. But they are very, very comfortable with the idea of another debate. And I can also tell you that one of the things that you're going to start seeing um, I want to say sort of like in the last week and a half of September and all through October, you're going to see her doing one-on-one interviews where she's going to be on television stations, where she's going to be, in front of groups of people. Um, Not like a campaign speech, but like a question and answer sort of situation. And I think in a lot of ways, that's going to even um, it's going to be a very, very powerful way for her to amplify her message, her vision, etc. So I think that there should be a significant bump as a result of this. I think that by and large, people were far more impressed with her than they were with Trump. I mean, almost double, according to sort of numbers. The fact that Trump had to rush out and go into the spin room, which apparently, like in the history of spin rooms, has never happened. But he obviously felt it necessary to get out there and keep on yakking. Um, so they're in good shape. Um, their fundraising continues to be astronomical. And that's really, really important because it just allows them to have a broader, more stable reach, right? I mean, not only do they have, get to have more people on the ground, but it plays into their advertising budget, et cetera, et cetera. So they're looking like they're feeling solid. They're ready to move forward. They're focused. Let's shift, shall we? Big breath. All right. Let's look at Trump and the Trump campaign right now. Okay. So even the people around him, um, they're sugarcoating it a little bit, but there's comments like, well, perhaps there was a few missed opportunities, or, uh, you know, he wasn't as strong as we had hoped. Which, come on, let's boil that down. It means he was an idiot. He didn't win the debate, and he looked like an old buffoon. And that's not a good look for somebody who's trying to re-win the office of the presidency considering he did such a crappy job the first time around. So even his campaign is like, uh-oh, uh-oh, that's not good. Now, as for him, he is still smarting. It's the only word I can think of. He is still like agitated and aggravated. Like some of the things that she said about him or to him or referencing him. Um, he I don't know who it was, but one of the people, one of the sort of talking heads, um, they were talking about how, every time she sort of dropped the bait, he went running after it. And they said, God, their dog doesn't chase squirrels as much as he was chasing after everything that she said to try to, you know, balance it or counterbalance it. There are some things that he is still really a little testy that she had the absolute nerve to say. And in typical Trump fashion, he just doubled down. And that, like energetically throughout the country, that was a problem. All right. It was a problem for him basically trying to disavow anything having to do with January 6th. And him trying to blame everything on Nancy Pelosi. Like that doesn't play well. And we're not even going to talk about the cats and the dogs, okay? Because he just looked insane. They didn't like the fact that Trump was getting fact checked. And listen, there was like 100 million things that they still could have fact checked him on, but the big ones, they did. And kudos to them, right? Because nobody else has managed to do it. And they're not liking that, right? They wanted sort of docile mediators or moderators, right? Because they wanted to be able to just say this stuff with absolutely no checks and balances. They also, I think, were completely unprepared for the way in which Kamala was able to say everything and say nothing simply with her face and simply with the way she looked. And if you look at most of this, side by side pictures that are, flooding everywhere in media today, she's smiling and laughing and she's doing this thing. But that was a very clever move, by the way, that one. I love that one, that chin hold. And he just looked a little like deranged, right? And he looked mad and angry and red in the face. And she's just like kind of laughing and smiling and very confident in what she's doing and saying. And so they're having trouble, the campaign itself. I mean, they haven't been able to wrap their heads around how to sort of push back against Kamala to start with. But I think now they have a much clearer idea of how formidable she's going to be. Um, I think, like a lot of people, they were underestimating her skill set, her abilities, her talent. And, sometimes when people underestimate you like that, it works to your advantage because you can blindside them, right? You can just sort of throw them right off their game because they're just not expecting you to act or behave or deliver, in a way that um, is far superior to what they expected. So, okay, so let's get that. All right, so he's really testy today. He's already waffling on the should there be another debate or shouldn't there be another debate? Maybe I shouldn't, maybe I should. So that nonsense is going on with him. But what it's doing is he's trying to cover or camouflage the fact that even he has to admit it wasn't a great showing for him. Even he has to admit that he didn't come off looking the way he imagined he would. Um, there were things that came out of his mouth that were mind numbing insane, beyond stupid. Um, but again, that's that sort of classic Trump, isn't it? It it feels like the campaign really, um, they're going to be floundering. Literally, for the next 5, 7, 8 days, they're gonna like not know what to do, right? He doesn't, to my knowledge, doesn't have a whole bunch of rallies. He apparently was in New York, on the morning of 9/11, with his mini me Vance, um, at the 9/11 ceremony, and once again disgraced himself, by having no sense of appropriate and inappropriate behavior. Those who've known me for a really long time will know that for a really long time, I have said money doesn't buy you good taste or class. And he is the epitome of that. He has no good taste, not um, aesthetically, and just not in behavior. And absolutely no class. And that becomes more and more apparent. I mean, if okay, like literally, if the whole pink and gold Mar-a-Lago thing and all the gold in his apartment, if that didn't give it away, certainly his behavior is doing that now. So you're going to see him once again, I think, retreat. He's going to go into sort of a licking his wounds kind of mode. He's going to be appearing, I'm thinking they're showing me he's going to be doing a lot of like television or, telephone interviews with right wing media because that's really the only place he can go. They're in the only the energy of the Trump campaign is very simple. It's called a tailspin. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to react. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to deal with him because he is fluctuating, as he typically does, between I was amazing and maybe it wasn't my best night. Although he wouldn't say it quite that way because that just in and of itself would admit that, maybe he wasn't completely on his game. So whatever Trump's version is of oops, I screwed up. Um, so there you have it. I suspect if not like today or tomorrow, we're going to be hearing about fundraising numbers as a result of the debate. I believe that once again, Kamala is going to just blow him out of the water in terms of money coming in. And again, that's just something that, that just sets him off, right? Um, it feels as if she's going to get sort of a bump and she's going to be able to sustain that bump over, you know, however, the 6 weeks until voting day. Um, Trump is going to see a slight decline. I think where her bump is going to come from is undecided and sort of stock Republicans, but the staunch Trump supporters didn't. It just doesn't matter. I mean, he could come out in that debate wearing a freaking clown suit, and they would still think he's amazing. So, but he's going to sustain a hit, and I don't actually see him recovering very well from it. So there you have the energy and the results of the debate. We now have a little bit of an idea of what's going on in the campaigns. And for sure, the momentum is only going to continue to build in the Harris Walz campaign as it goes forward. Also, they're telling me to not be surprised if over the next 6 or so weeks, there's a lot of emphasis from the Harris campaign about down races. Okay. There's going to be talking more and more about supporting your local, whoever, whatever, governor, mayor, whatever people are voting for in their individual states. There's going to be a lot of talk about that because the the people down ballot, much like from the convention, are going to get a good bump from the debate, just like they did post the DNC. And so they're going to, you're going to see some increased focus on making sure that they are um, putting the down ballot races in the strongest possible position they can. I also have to say, just Trump is already started pushing about like shutting down the government for October 1st. I have to tell you, it's not going to happen. He's not going to get the support that he thinks he's going to get. There literally are going to be, particularly people in, swing states, Republicans who are maybe not feeling all that confident. They're not going to be pushing to shut down the government because they understand that every time the Republicans do that, it just makes it worse for the Republicans. Only Trump is the only one who thinks it makes it bad for the Democrats, no matter who shuts down the government. I mean, right? I mean, so let's just not get worried and anxious about that because I just don't see it happening. I don't think Johnson, the choir boy, has the votes. And Mitch McConnell apparently has already come out and said, it's never a good idea to shut down the government. So he's definitely putting it out there that this is not something he supports. Although, to be fair, he flip flops more than the average pancake. Okay. I mean, he says one thing and then as soon as the energy shifts, well, he's on that side now. I mean, he's another one that truly he needs to go retire someplace and be quiet. And he should take Donald with him. All right. That's what I know. Um, Thank you very, very much for your time, your attention, your support of the station. Don't forget to put your questions in the comment section. Joyce will be going through them and pulling them all together so we can do Pendulum Friday tomorrow. Um, I'm just trying to make sure that there's nothing else floating around out there that I want to touch on. Nah, I think that's good. All right. You take really good care. Take care, be well. Until I see you next time. Bye bye.